Welcome back to the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast, where we bring you powerful stories from all walks of life. And today, we've got a special guest, Kaden Middleton, joining us all the way from Florida, a dedicated martial artist who started training at just 5 years old and has been grinding ever since. Now a 17-year-old competitor, instructor, and returning grand champion who's making serious waves in the karate world with achievements on the AAU stage and a relentlessly weekly training schedule that most people wouldn't believe, all while balancing school, leadership, and chasing his dream of becoming an aerospace engineer. This is a young man who truly represents discipline, passion, and the future of the sport. And before we dive into the show, let's give a big shout out to our proud supporters: Delaware Bushido Academy, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Smyrna, White Belt Surfer, and Tory Wellness Center. Let's get into it with Kaden Middleton. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast. And today we're joined by Kaden Middleton, who joins us all the way down from Florida. And like many of my previous guests, he represents Ingram's Karate, and super proud to have this young man on. He's been doing a lot. He's crushing it, and he's the next future, as they say. So, Kaden, what's up, bro?
Hello, guys. My name's Kaden.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, I was going to say I'm the returning grand champion of the Ishmael Hall of Fame. And I'm very honored to be a part of this podcast.
Yeah, man. And we're super honored to have you on too. And you just mentioned the Hall of Fame. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So for those watching, in July, in 3 months, man, it's crazy how fast time flies. Yeah. But 3 months from now, Kaden and I are going to be going down to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Well, I'm going down, he's going up because you live in Florida. But yeah, so we'll both be in Gatlinburg and we're going to be defending our grand championship title. So man, that's exciting. So this is something very new. For the Hall of Fame, because in years past, they never had returning grand champions, going back to defend their title. But I think that's how it should work, because you put in all this work and you should go back to defend it. So I'm glad the board of directors have, kind of put their minds together, and both our instructors are on the board. So
they are, yeah.
So Kaden, let's start with Ishinu, because that's something that you brought up, and I know that you've been training in Ishinu for a while. So let's begin with, when did you first start your martial arts training?
I started a long time ago when I was 5 years old. It was cool. The sport that I wanted to do, and I was interested in it. Yeah, and so it's something that you initially wanted to do, or is it something like maybe mom and dad talked you into it, or something I want to do because they actually came to my school and they did this cool demonstration. I was like, they're doing all these cool moves and all this cool stuff. And I was like, that's what I want to do when I'm older. I want to be that kid.
Yep. So you joined karate, and who was your first instructor?
My first instructor was Sensei Jen and Sensei Danny.
Yep.
Both amazing people.
Absolutely.
Still to this day.
Yeah. So, Kaden, do you remember your first karate class? And if you do, what was that first class like?
I remember till this day. It's still a vivid memory of mine. I remember walking in there with my gi on, white belt, and I remember the first thing I learned was my Gary, my first my Gary.
Yeah.
And it was the first kick I did on the pad. It was probably the most weakest kick I've ever done, but just the praise and everything that they said to make me way better is just what made me keep going. It's I wanted to keep doing it. It was oh, I'm good at this. I want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And the class was so energetic and exciting. It's more and more kept wanting me to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said something just now that I think is important for everyone watching, whether you do sports or whether you're trying something new. So Kaden just mentioned how when you first came, and you're doing your Maigeri, right, the front kick that we're all taught, from the beginning, you might not have done the best front kick, but it was that verbal, positivity, praise that kept you going. And I think that's crucial, because if any young student, whether it's a kid, teenager, or adult, the last thing we want to hear is you suck or that's not good, So obviously that's had a great influence, starting off. And I bet now, because I know that you're an instructor now, that you remember that first experience as a white belt. So I'm sure that when you teach, you get brand new white belts or students, you remember what it was like to have that positivity and just that reinforcement, I'm sure, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So tell the viewers now, what's a typical schedule like for you? Because I know you're in busy season with the AAU, and I know you just got back from some from the North American Open. So I definitely want to talk about that. But something that I love to know more about, each guest, especially like young athletes, is what's a typical week like for you? Like I know you go to school, and I know that's hard, I'm sure, and you have homework, right? Then you have to train. So yeah, so let's break that down. Tell us what your schedule is and how do you manage all that?
So my schedule is looking around Monday. I come home from school and I like immediately go to the dojo, help clean up, get it ready, get it open, and then I work the whole entire day. And then I come home and I actually, as soon as I come home, I eat dinner and I go training. I go to sprints, do my kata, work through the motions, get the gist of the day. At the beginning of the week, I want to feel good about it.
Yeah.
And then go to bed, rest. And then Tuesday, I'll go to training. I'll do weapon Kabuto's class, and then I'll come home and I'll practice kata again, and I'll do sprints again. I love sprints; those are the best. And so I train. Then Wednesday's my biggest day because I work, private lesson, and I do 30 minutes of like insane training on Wednesday.
Yeah,
so that's my biggest day for practice for sure.
Jeez.
And then Thursday would be Kumite. Just get that endurance going, and I'd sprint again on Thursday as well. And then Friday would be my rest day. And Saturday's team practice, which goes for over 2 hours. I love that for sure because we get to get everything in there, like the nitty gritty, straight workout and everything. And then I'll have an extra 30 minutes of practice at the dojo alone just to get that movement in. And then I'll come home, relax, and then I go back to sprinting again. And then Sunday would be my also rest day. So Friday and Sundays are my rest days. Yeah. But every day is just grinding. There's no stopping it.
Yeah. Man, I think that's awesome. And so it's safe to say that you're definitely a dojo rat and that karate is something that you love every single day. I love how you're kind of like, I appreciate someone who's structured, and like you just told me, like, it's like every single day, like you have a specific goal, whether it's sprints or whether it's going to the dojo and helping to get cleaned up. So I think that's amazing that, for such a young man, because you're 17, correct?
Sure.
Yeah, so perfect. So that's a life skill that's going to continue on. And I know on top of that, you're a junior at Sun Lake High School, because I remember that's what your mom told me. So let's talk more about your education first, and then I'll definitely dive into karate, because I want, like I said, I want people to know, like, Kaden, as an entirety, not just, as the amazing karate student. So I know you're currently enrolled at Aerospace Career Academy, and that's through Embry-Riddle, correct?
Yes, sir.
Amazing. So go ahead.
It's a program that the high school offers. They offer a couple more, but this one is the one that I was excited in going into because it offers more development into the career that I want to have when I'm younger, or when I'm older, which is a aerospace engineer. It's like my dream since I was 5 as well. So that's helping me get there. Nice.
So your goal is to go to Embry-Riddle at some point.
Yeah, Embry-Riddle or like a top college in Florida, like U of F. So,
yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask if you had plans to stay in Florida, because I'm sure with your extracurricular goals on top of your educational goals, I'm sure karate is something that you still want to continue.
It is, yeah. I want to train that as long as I can. Like, even if I'm not at the dojo, I would still love to find somewhere to, like an area just to train and just keep that movement going. So when I come back home, I can go to the dojo and be like, I still remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be a part of that community.
Yeah, for sure. And the cool thing, karate, it's all over the world. So if you go anywhere, like a town or city, somewhere where you've never been before, just do a little research, and I'm sure you'll find some type of karate club, whether it's Ishinryu or not. So at least you always have that option. Man, that's awesome. So let's talk. So on top of your education and activities, are you involved in any clubs?
For clubs for school, I'm involved in the physics club. I've been doing that because I'm in a physics class right now, and it's super fun because we're doing like a bunch of labs outside of school and inside of school. And then I'm also part of First Priority, which is connected to my church. I love being involved in that. And then that's pretty much it for the clubs.
Yeah, it's nice to know. Like, it's nice to hear that you have good balance. So it's not just all karate all the time. But it's interesting. When I asked what your schedule was, I would say like 99% of your response was everything outside of school. But then when you're at school, you have all these clubs, you have all these, future aspirations. So I can tell that you're definitely well balanced. And I think that's important too, because I know growing up for myself, when I was when I was in my, early 20s, or in college, I spent a lot of my time just training, and it was fun. I loved it, but I never gave myself an opportunity. Like if I could go back, Kaden, I wish I had a little bit more of a social life outside of karate. And I would meet people, I would have friends that didn't train, but I used to have the mindset, bro, that if you didn't do karate, like you weren't cool enough. And looking back, that was such a bad mindset because now some of my closest friends, like they don't even do, train, whether it's karate or jiu-jitsu, but they still have something offered, right? You know what I mean by that? Yeah. So I think, yeah. So I've learned to like, find that balance, but I think, based on what you're saying, like you definitely have found that balance as well. Is there ever a time, Kaden, that you ever get bored with karate?
There have been times, yeah, multiple times, especially when I first started competing too. They were like, I didn't medal at all. And I was like, why am I even doing this? Why do I still compete? Why not just train regular karate, you know? And
Yeah.
it was getting to me at one point, and then I realized that there would be better and I would get stronger and better at karate as a whole. And if I just kept training and kept sticking to it, and everyone else was encouraging me to, my senseis, my friends, they were all competing as well. And they're like, if we compete together, we're going to be number one, you know? And so the drive is what kept me going. And I'm thankful for that, because if I wouldn't be here today, or I wouldn't be here today if I wasn't for that drive and that continuous training and the sense it's been like, you're going to win this competition. And then I do win. So it's, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like once you get to the dojo, all those doubts like
Go away. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And it's not, and bro, that's a totally normal feeling. I think any athlete, whether in any sport or any profession, definitely goes through those moments where, and like you kind of question, like what's the point of this? It's like it's not going to get me, to the Olympics. When yeah, I mean that's a whole different topic because I think, and I'm just going to say again, I think karate should be an Olympic sport. I don't know why it's not. You have breakdancing, you have all these other sports. I kind of scratch my head. I'm thinking, if that's an Olympic sport, come on, why can't karate be? Awesome. Did you get a chance to watch the last Olympics? Did you watch the 2020 Olympics or when karate was in Tokyo?
I watched a little bit of it. I wasn't really like able to watch too much of it though, unfortunately. It would have been cool to see a lot of it though.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you follow any is there any current USA karate athletes or maybe, within the AAU that you kind of look to for inspiration, or they kind of just give you that, that feel like it's like, oh, like I can be like that person one day growing up?
Um, yeah, I don't remember his name. It's like I'm not really able to say it like language where it was, but
Sure.
he's Brazilian, and I like look up to him because his kata is just like so like strong, and his control and his balance, everything he does is just the movement is perfect. And I'm like, if I was to compete on a world stage like that, I want to look like that. Like that's my dream goal. So like is the energy he puts on, he brings so much energy onto that stage. And that's what karate needs, is that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Those kind of
absolutely. Yeah, and who knows? I mean, like you're the future, and it even starts at the small local tournaments or even at your dojo. I mean, I'm sure there's kids that look at you like, wow, like I want to be like Kaden one day, and then like here you are looking at someone from another country. So it's like we always have like that goal that we're trying to reach. So yeah, I think it's amazing now because kids your age, um, like you guys have social media, obviously, which I mean everyone has access to that, but it's cool how well connected you guys can all stay and you guys are up to date with like the latest techniques. Do you ever like when you see like a cool highlight clip, let's say like on Instagram or social media, like maybe it's a cool kata or cool technique. Do you ever try to replicate that?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like I'll see like these cool kata drills or this like kumite takedown, or like this way to get a better reverse punch. And I'll immediately put my phone down and just try to try it. And I'll watch the video like over and over. And sometimes I won't get it, but sometimes I will. And I'll be like, this is pretty cool. I should try this out sometime. So
Nice.
I do get those moments.
Yeah, very cool. I know there's kata, kumite, kobudo. Which of the three do you prefer? Like, what's your favorite? Like, if you had to pick one,
Kabuto.
Kabuto.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Okay, so you like bow or sai?
I like my bell a lot. It's like the best. I love
Nice.
swinging around.
And when did you figure out, or like, when did you come to the realization that bow was something that you could like really do well in?
It was just enjoyment. When I do my bow katas, there's like a sense of freedom I get from it, from swinging from like going left and right and up and down. There's just this powerful strikes that I get from it. It gives me like, it's like an extension of my body that I can put power and everything into it. And then because I'm able to do that, I started winning, and it gave me that like that feeling like I should do this more often. I should show this to more people, show what I get from my belt.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. And I love the part that you emphasize about the extension of your body. So yeah, that's how I know you love Kabuto, because when I hear like, senseis or instructors say that part, okay, like you obviously have an appreciation for weapons. So yeah, absolutely. Then of course you have the Sai. I run Sai at the Hall of Fame. So I love Shantanara. Yeah, because most people do bow. And I think if you have a very good bow kata, you really have to kind of make it stand out, especially if your other competitors are doing it. But when you throw in Sai, it just changes up the game. So I'm there with you. I love the bow, and I also love Sai as well. I also know that you're, big into kata because you've won a lot of, places with that. The Hall of Fame that we just talked about. How do you feel about, not feel about, but how do you do in Kumite?
Kumite. So I just started getting back into that just because I got into a car accident and I had to stay off and heal for a little bit, and I had to wait till I got cleared. So now that I'm cleared, I love it. I'm excited. I'm getting back into it, and I like competing at every tournament I can with Kumite. I want to just get into it because if I don't, I'm not going to get any better, right?
Yeah.
So I like keep practicing it and just enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have certain training partners that you train with that kind of keep you on your toes? And I know when I was talking to Jacob and Dayton, the thing that they said that was pretty interesting, but like very common was you guys push each other like to be at that next level. And sometimes there's a little bit of competition there, but overall, like, do you feel like your training partners have definitely helped you, get to where you are today?
Oh yeah, all the time. There's definitely some competitiveness at the dojo when we're training as training partners. There's always like that little push of like, oh, I'm gonna be a little better than you, and I'm gonna be a little better than you. And so it's like that excitement and just like that friendship that we have. We have a really good bond at the dojo, and it's really good because it really does help us push to be the better version of ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. All right, man. So I would love now to, jump into, some of your recent competitions. So I know recently, man, like you went to the 2026 North American Open, and from what I understand, you placed in weapons, and then you did some other competitions as well. So aside from your achievements or what you placed, talk about what that energy was like going to a big tournament.
Oh yeah, it was super cool. The energy was big. Like everyone was there that competed, really wanted to win. They were so serious about it. Every corner you turn, they were practicing. Like there was not a single person on that mat that wasn't practicing, or even off the mat. Like you could go down the hall and there were still people practicing. Outside the convention center, you saw people practicing. Everyone was there to win and get some medals, and everyone wanted it. And I like that energy a lot because that showed that people cared about the karate still, and it shows that they are not coming here for kicks and giggles. They're really coming here to get some medals. And I like that competition because when you compete against someone who really wants it, that's how you know you're going against some really good competitors, and that's when competition gets good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how you mentioned like it's like everywhere you went, you saw someone practicing something, whether it's a kid or teen or adult. How many people would you say competed at that specific event? Do you remember?
I'd say more than 1,000 for sure. The event was jam packed. There was a lot of people there.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And was this more AAU based, or like yeah, like was this run by the AAU?
Yeah, I know it was run by the AAU and WKF.
Yep.
So it was open to more people than just America. Like I saw some people from Ireland and so another country too, Scotland. So there was a bunch of other people there too, all from around the country too, like a bunch of people from different states. So it was a big tournament, and a lot of people came and showed up, which was excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did you do? Yeah, so talk about how you did now specifically. I'm not, whether you won, whether like, I believe you either win or you either learn, of course. So, so talk about like each division that you did, and like what were some of your takeaways? So, yeah, let's first start off with that. So, what divisions did you do?
So the first division I did was the Ishinru mat style specific, which was amazing. That was like the one I was excited to do. I got up on there and I competed against, I'd say 20 people. It was a decent amount. And I was the second youngest one, besides my friend Denver. He was the youngest one. And we competed, and there were 3 rounds, and I got to last round. I got in 5th place, which was fun because I got to see all the other people who did Ishimuru and like really good. Like I've never seen Ishimuru katas better than that. And one of my best friends, Jacob, he actually won the division. So that was exciting for me. Yeah, Jacob Little. I'm really excited because I got to see his katas as well, and amazing katas. Yeah. And then I went on to do regular kata from my age group. And there was a lot of talented people on that mat too. I'd say there's 15 people on that mat. And I didn't place on that one. I got 4th place, but I still did really great. And the people that were there were also amazing. I met some new people, made some new friends too, actually.
Yeah.
And after that, we went to Kabuto, short and long, which I competed in both. And the cool part about short was that there was a guy who did 2 nunchaku, and it was like insane. Like he was going side to side and up and down. I've never seen a call like that, and it was amazing.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah. So it's interesting when you talk about your experiences and how you did. I can also like hearing your voice that you're still a fan of the sport as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And I think a lot of athletes, they lose that where, when you're getting the mindset and you're competing, sure, like obviously you don't want to win, but I think when you forget, to love the sport, and I can tell that you obviously love karate, and just the way that you praise your teammates like Jacob, and like how you met, new people that you haven't competed with, that's a good sign that you're doing it for the right reasons. And more importantly, and you've traveled and you competed. So obviously you can attest to this. Sometimes you don't even really, it's not the tournaments that we remember. It's the experience. It's like going out with friends. It's meeting new people. So aside from the competition, and I know this was in Vegas, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what did you get? Did you get a chance to, do any sightseeing with any of the, like your friends or your homies out there? Like, so I know you competed, but did you get a chance to actually enjoy the scenery?
Yeah. Me and my friends, Jacob Little and Eddie, both from my dojo at Newport Richie, we walked around the strip and got to hang out in New York and got to see like what the city got to offer. We did a bunch of cool stuff. We actually went to the F1 experience down the road because there's an F1 circuit there, and it was pretty cool. And I just got to hang out, get to know them more. Even though I know them really well right now, there's still some things I didn't know about them that I got to know that day. And so I got to enjoy sightseeing with them as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I'm glad that you got a chance to experience that. And I'm glad that you had a chance to compete and you placed. And I could hear the enthusiasm when you were about to compete in, the Ishimuru division. Because that's important, and I love Ishimuru. I love doing kata, and it means a little bit more when Ishimuru gets its own, separate thing. And I know that's something that both Coach John and Cindy were pushing for many, many years. I know when I was on the team, Ishimuru was starting to be accepted, but I know now from what I've heard from other athletes, like Ishimuru has found a home within the AAU.
It has, for sure. I've seen it grow, especially for my couple, 6 years competing. I've seen some growth in Ishimuru as well. I think that it's good that there are younger athletes who do Ishimuru still, and that we're able to help continue this growth because other judges are starting to understand that, Ishimuru is a pretty cool style to watch and see compete, and that we actually have something to offer that is good.
Yeah, for sure. I also wanted to ask, when you go into the other or the open styles, I'm assuming, do you feel, so I know you mentioned watching other competitors, whether they got first, second, or third. I know you mentioned you got fourth, but what are some takeaways, even when you're watching someone that doesn't do an Ishimuru kata? Because naturally, right, we're judging. Like even as a competitor, I'm constantly judging my competition. And, there's times I've been in tournaments and I kind of scratch my head. I'm thinking, how did that person get first or second? So I'm a firm believer. If I'm going to lose, I want to lose because the person that day was just that much better than me. So did you get that feeling at all? Like, man, like these athletes are good.
I did, yeah. When I did lose, I was so glad that I lost to someone better than me. That's one of the things that I understand as a competitor is that the best way to lose is to lose someone better than you, because that's the only way you get better. So when I lost, I took note of what those guys did. I watched their katas. I, understood how they won so that I can continue to improve and then even beat them one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, so let's discuss that just for a moment. What were some of the takeaways from the guys that won kata in your division or, placed a little bit higher? Like what was that 1% difference that they're doing that now you can also incorporate now in your training?
Some of the takeaways I can get from their katas was that the way they controlled their stances from one to another, it was they still controlled their power and movement and their stability while keeping that energy in contact. I realize that sometimes when I go from like a regular stance or a shikudachi to a zenkutsu, sometimes I lose that power, I lose that deepness, and I get out of that stance. I realize that the competitors that won, they didn't do that at all. It was same head level, and everything was like perfect. And their power, every single move, power, and then more power, and then more power, and it's like stacking blocks. And my kata is just sometimes just straight power, and it doesn't increase. And I realize that that's something I can improve on, is continue to add the power, not just have the power.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good learning curve right there. And when you make those adjustments, Kaden, back home or at the next, tournament, are those adjustments pretty easy for you? Or has there been a time when you know exactly what you need to do to make corrections, but do those corrections, are they easy for you or sometimes do you struggle with that?
I would say most of it comes easy to me, but there are a bunch of other times it is very hard, and I will be working on it all the time, just because I know that there are other athletes out there who are working on it all the time. And if I'm not working on it all the time, then they're going to get one step ahead of me. And that's that competitiveness inside of me, is that I know that someone's training out there to be number one. So I also have to train out to be the number one. So no matter if it's easy or struggling, I'm still going to train for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right. So I'm glad you had a great time at the North American Open.
Mm-hmm.
Congrats on your success. And more importantly, I think it's amazing that you've got a chance to experience all of what that tournament had to offer, not just being at the venue, but hanging out with your friends, like you said, and just, kind of seeing it from a different perspective. And I love how you mentioned that you got a chance to, also know some of your teammates a little bit more, like, better too. Yeah, I think that's important. So now I want to move. I want to move forward. So let's talk about the Ishinru Hall of Fame coming up. I know we kind of, talked about that initially. So when you got the word that you would be a returning grand champion, because I'm sure our emotions are kind of similar, but I'm just curious from your perspective, when you got the word that you would be as a returning grand champion and you kind of, get that automatic bid into the finale, and on top of that, being named an ambassador for the very first time, it's like we're making history. I think one day we'll look back and realize, like, yo, like we were the first, wave of people to kind of get this thing started. Which I hopefully it keeps going. But being present and just talking about the moment now, what was that like when you got the word like, hey, Kaden, like as a returning grand champion, like you get to, like you don't have to compete. It's like you kind of get to sit out and then you have to wait later on. And then also talk about, being an ambassador and what that means to you.
I was very excited. It was like shocking. I didn't think that was actually going to happen. And when it finally like hit me, I was like, this is like the best thing that could have happened, that I can show how Ishinru in this sport in total just means to me. And me becoming the ambassador really has improved my lifestyle with karate. It's made me see the different views that it has to offer and show other people how I see karate and how excited I am to do this sport. It really extends like the point of view that I have around it.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you found out you were the ambassador, were some of your teammates a little jealous?
Probably. I don't know. So, but I think that it just comes with competitiveness as well. Is that they're like, oh shoot, they got ambassador. I guess I'll have to come over there and try to take it from them. So it's like it's like that competitiveness, and then I'll just try to keep that title.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it has to start somewhere. So why not make that standard as high as you can? Yeah, man, congrats on that, dude. Yeah, same emotions. I've been competing at the Hall of Fame for many, many years, and last year, man, it was like my sixth or seventh time winning the grand champion. And when I finally Sensei Steele said, hey, like, all the returning grand champions get an automatic bid. I said, finally, it's nice to know like our hard work is being seen. And I love how you said like you get to showcase Ishinru. When you're at the Hall of Fame, And I think I asked Dayton and Jacob this, so I would love to get your opinion on it. Is it hard to like adjust to the rules? Because you know what AAU is like. You know how like, professional, not that the Hall of Fame's not, so I'm not saying the Hall of Fame's not professional, so I want to be careful about how I word that, but like obviously there's a difference. So when you go to the Hall of Fame and you see different, like I guess, variations of kata, does that change anything as far as your preparation, or do you just go in with the same mindset as if it was like another day at the AAU tournament?
I'd say pretty much going to the same mindset as another AAU tournament. I like to think that my competitors are as high level as I am, and
Yeah,
that even though the style might be a little different, I like to say that I just go in there thinking I'm gonna compete against the best of the best, and I gotta be the best of the best. And yeah, the rules might be a little different, but that's what training is for, and I'll train to adapt to the rules, and I'll overcome them.
yeah, absolutely. What kata did you do at the Hall of Fame?
I did Kusanku.
Nice. Yeah, Kusanku's a good one. Hey, you want a challenge?
Yeah,
And you don't have to do it, but I think it's fun because I know you're a kata guy and you're capable of kata. Do Seisan.
you say so.
Yeah, bro, I did Seisan in the Grands. I've done it twice now, and I win with it. And you know why I win with it? Because no one's expecting it. Everyone expects Kusanku, Su and Su. And then when they call me up, I go out there, it's professional, of course, Seisan. And then I bang it out. People are like, dang. And I don't like, I used to do it, Caden, to prove a point
Hmm.
because, people think like, oh, like you got to win with a black belt kata. Well,
Yeah,
if we're, talking about what's like a black belt kata, Seisan
it is a black belt.
traditionally was a black belt kata, and it's the first kata So if we're talking about experience, if I said, "Hey, Kaden, what's your most like what kata have you been doing the longest?" Your answer is probably going to be
Based on.
Seisan. So your Seisan should be the best. And again, you don't like I don't know, it's just a fun challenge, but I always encourage people like, yeah, like if you call yourself a kata champion, you should be able to go out there and do any kata no problem.
Mhm.
So that's just my mindset. I would love. I mean, like it'd be cool to watch you do it and Jacob because I know because if you have an amazing Kusanku, bro, I know your Seisan's amazing. So let me just be very clear about that. But I think that'd be a fun challenge, and like, bro, like every time I do it, people are just like, dang, like I didn't realize I could win with Seisan. I'm like, yeah, bro, it's just a kata. But it's no different than, throwing like I don't know, because I think technique is technique, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's keep in the back of your mind. If that's a challenge you like, go for it. But if not, I totally get it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll definitely keep that in mind for sure.
Bro, when I see you, I'm gonna say something, bro. I'm just kidding. But actually I'm not. I'm gonna tell Jacob Little too, the same thing. I'm gonna tell Jacob and Dayton, guys, I know you're capable of winning with your kata.
Mhm.
Try Seisan. And I'm telling you, man, people are gonna be like, oh, like I can't like you can win with any kata.
Mhm.
Have you been to the IWKA tournament before?
Oh, I have the Asian Real World Tournament.
Yeah, so at that tournament in the black belt division,
Mhm.
I think the black belts or in the senior division, they have to pick a kata from a hat.
Yes,
How
you
would
do.
you feel about that?
Um,
Like at the Hall of Fame, like if all the grand champions had to pick from a hat, how does that change your preparation?
that would not change it a lot, just because I like to keep my all my katas up to date.
Yep.
So when I was going to the NAO tournament, I trained Seisan, Sunsu, and Kusanku all the time, and then I even had backup, which was Shinto. So I
Yeah.
was shooting four katas to be ready for this tournament, and so that's what I did for when I went to the Ishinru World Tournament. Is I had three katas ready because I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and so I was ready. So it would change a little bit just because I would have to train a little more just
Sure.
to make sure the katas are again up to date. But I'd say not that much, just because I feel like if I don't have all my katas up to date, then I'm not like the kata grand champion. Like if I can't do Shinto or Nahachi, then what katas can I do? So
Exactly. Yeah, it's like the saying, like you can't be a one trick pony, like to call
mhm.
yourself a kata champion, you got to be able to do any kata. So that's just my opinion on it. I could go on about that, but from one kata grand champion to another, I think it's like I know you're capable of it. So maybe down the road, that's a fun challenge that you just give yourself. But you also kind of have to feel it. And I would lie if I said, Seisan is the only kata I have in mind. Typically if there's like nine people in the finale if I'm towards the end of the pack and I have a good feel of how everyone's katas are doing, I'd be like, yeah, I can do Seisan and win. But if I'm like the first one, I'm like, I should probably do Kusanku. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So again, because it's all a game, right? It's all a strategy, and you
Mhm.
know, that's what like yeah, because that's what a karate tournament is, right? It's a game. There's rules. You just have to find a way to win the game. Yeah, most efficiently. So I know you mentioned the IWKA. How did you do at that tournament? Was it any different from any previous tournament?
Um, Not necessarily. It was the way it was set up was a little different and the way it moved, but that's just how they feel like managing the tournament should go. Nothing against that. But other
What
than
was the
that,
setup like? Do you remember what it was?
um, it was like points. It was kind of how the Ishinru tournament does it, where it was like points, but it was also flags at the same time. But then they like changed it, so it was like really weird. But I still ended up winning, getting first place in all my divisions. I just had to adapt right then and there. I had to know what I was getting, know what I was doing. I had to be confident about it, and I just had to say, if I'm going to do, I'm going to do it. Like I have to be ready for it. So I'm glad that I trained extra going into that tournament, and I'm glad that I felt ready for it. Because if you don't feel ready and you feel confident, then you can't have a confident kata. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would agree. It's like every tournament's different, and like it's so arbitrary. And that's something that I tell my students often, whatever tournament you're doing, whether it's AAU or a local tournament or,
mhm.
I'm in someone's backyard, if you will, like when you're doing kata, it really is opinion based. It's 3 to 5 judges, whatever, like, it could be 100 judges, doesn't matter, but it's up to human beings to decide whether or not you do a kata. So I think sometimes people can kind of get caught up in that because if they don't get the score that they want, they think that they're not good. And I hate that notion. I don't agree with that because you could do a good kata, and as long as you think it's good, and I know that's cliche to say, but that's the only thing that really matters because I've done kata in training, whether it's here in the dojo or tournaments, and I said, man, I could probably done that a little bit better, and I'm sure you feel the same way. But again, at the end of the day, it's not really up to me, right? It's up to the judges. Something else, man. Like, how do you feel like? Because I know you're a winner and you've done well, and like when your name is called, I don't know about you, bro, but when I look back and I see other like all the other competitors that don't get called up, I always feel so bad for them. It's like, dang, like I don't want to experience that, but at the same time, I can't even imagine what that feeling is like, not getting your name called.
Mhm.
Has there ever been a time when you didn't get, like when you didn't place when you felt that you should? And if that's the case, like what emotions did you feel?
There were definitely some times where I didn't get caught up for a medal. And I definitely felt like, man, I should have won that tournament. But then, like as the day goes on, I was like, how setting disassembling the tournament or on the way home, and I watched the videos. I'm like, I did do a good kata, but the thing was, the person next to me, they did even better kata, and
Yeah.
so I got to realize that even though I'm really good at my kata and really a really good competitor, there are competitors out there who are better than me and who are going to do better than me. And so all I got to do is just train and try to do better than them. So there are times when I'm disappointed in myself. I'm like, man, I'm just going to go home and train harder. And then the next thing I know, I win the next tournament. So
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a good mindset, man. Yeah, it's important. I think it's also that's why it's important to let your team or your teammates know like whether you win or lose, it doesn't define who you are.
Hmm.
I think a lot of times people, it's easy to get caught up in the wins, right? It feels good when you win. Of course, we all want to win. Like no one competes to lose. At least I don't think so. If you're out there saying like, oh yeah, like I'm just here just for the experience, then you shouldn't be competing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But I also understand like what it's like I've been up there, for the grand finale and my name wasn't called. So I know what it feels like. And it just like, man, like this sucks. I don't want to feel this again. So that's why I just train harder. Um, Good. Yeah. So it's awesome that you've had all these experiences, man, because you're, learning to win and you're learning what it's like not to win. And these are lessons, Kaden, that's going to carry on as you, continue to mature and get older and also get back to the next generation. Speaking of giving back to the next generation, talk about your teaching role. So I know you were mentioning earlier that you go to the dojo, you clean, but let's talk more about when you're teaching and giving back. What's your mindset or like, Yeah, let's start out with that. When you teach, right, what's your objective for each student? Or like whether you're teaching one student or like four kids or four adults, like when you're teaching, ultimately, what do you want your students to get out of that particular lesson?
My goal is just to make sure that they do whatever they're learning as best as they can to their best ability. I want to make sure that the student is enjoying their time at the dojo because as a student, when I was younger and that was being taught, the sensei would always, help make sure that I understood that I was doing the best I could and that my form was amazing. So I want them to understand that they can come back to the dojo and be like, man, this sensei said I did better. I'm going to do even better. So I want to keep the encouragement going up while I'm teaching. And obviously I'm going to correct them if they're doing something wrong because they were not going to get any better if I don't. So I'm always going in there thinking, you're going to do the best you can to the best of your ability. And I'm going to help them make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that's a great mindset. Um, how long have you been teaching, like all together?
I've been teaching, I'd say, for 4 or 5 years now, I'd
Nice.
say.
Okay. So when you first started teaching, how did that come about? Did you ask your senseis or did they approach you or did it kind of just happen organically?
So the way my dojo does it is when you become a brown belt, in order to come for your black belt, you have to do what's called a senpai. So you help the senseis teach the class. And so I had to do that. And during my senpai, I realized how fun this is and how I get to show the students what I got out of teaching. And I get to become that cool sensei that students can look up to. That was my goal when I wanted to get into teaching was I want to be that sensei that's like, another student be like, Sensei Kaden, that's the sensei that I want to be. I want to give that to some students. So after I got my black belt, I went up to my sensei and was like, I want to continue teaching. I want this to be something that helps me stay in karate. And it has, because there would be days where like I don't want to compete, but then I'm like, man, I got to go teach these kids. And that's what I enjoy is teaching these kids. They, brighten up my day.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And they look up to you, it's like you don't even because they watch everything that you do.
Yeah.
Everything, man. Whether it's a joke, and they also know when you have an off day. Like kids are not like they're very smart. Like, sometimes when I get on the mat, like it's always high energy things. I love being out there, whether it's jiu-jitsu or karate, but I've had kids like, especially the kids that care. They said, "Hey, Mr. Nick, what's wrong?" It's like they already know, but then I have to remind myself, like, "Dang, like, no, like teaching is a performance. It's such a great opportunity. Like, I don't have to teach, Caden. I get to teach, and that's the mindset that I think every instructor needs to have. Like these kids deserve 100% the best version of you every single time. And I get it. We're humans, but if you give a student one bad experience, that's one reason why they'll quit. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
yeah, so I think it's awesome that you've had that mindset early on and that you want to teach because there's people out there that, because that's the difference between a great instructor and a good instructor. Good instructors are just kind of going through the motions, right? They're good listeners, they're good people, but maybe their heart's not into it. But the great instructor is like, yo, like they want to be there. It's just a total different energy. It's like when you watch Sensei Cindy or Sensei John or Sherry, right? You just know that they love what they do because they've been doing it forever.
Mhm.
What Hmm. What are some challenges? Yeah, this is a fun question. Was there ever a moment when you were teaching when things you just like everything just went wrong and you're like, dang, like I don't know what I'm like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Maybe a kid was screaming or maybe something, you know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
can you recall a moment?
When I first started teaching like more on my own and started leading more kids, there was a time where I was like, oh shoot, what do I do next? Like
Yeah.
I didn't know if I should move on to the next basics or if I should move on to self-defense. And I was just so lost. And then the next thing I remember is just being one of my senseis that I work with, Sensei Jade. She's like, you're the sensei.
Yeah.
You start leading the class. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do more basics.
Yep.
And then I realized that teaching doesn't have to be a strict format every single time. It's what you think the kids are gonna learn best, and it's how you teach it is how they're gonna learn it. So if I'm worried about making sure I stick to the same format every single time I teach, then that's all the kids are gonna learn. And then they're gonna not like it anymore. So they're gonna be like, oh, I don't want to do basics anymore. Like I've been doing it every single day.
Yeah.
So I realized that it's as it's a better, for me to be a better sensei, I got to know everything. So I got to know all my basics, know all the self-defense out of the top of my head, so that when I come into class, I can just say, all right, we're going to do some self-defense, and then we're going to do some pad kicks right after. And I'm able to manage that because I know all the pad kicks, I know all the self-defense. And so I didn't have to panic anymore. There was no panic. It was just, let's do what I'm feeling the best today at. So
yeah, man, that's awesome that you had that mind shift. And it's almost like once you know you have permission, it's like all the pressure is off of you, because that was some of the early things that I experienced. I remember one time, so my first instructor, and he's still my instructor now, but he retired, Master Reese Rigby. He was a board member, but he stepped off this past year. And I remember when I think I was 15. I was teaching a group of green belts, and Master Rigby had a beautiful like wooden dojo floor. So he's all the way on the other side, and like out of my peripheral, I think he's watching me, right? Because we always think our instructor's watching us. So I'm teaching these green belts again. Like, dude, I was a shy dude. I was like super shy, like not as outgoing. And I remember like there's parents, and of course, and I'm sure you feel it, like when parents are watching you, right? Yeah. So the parents are watching me, and I'm teaching the green belt Shinto, and I look up at the clock and there's 10 minutes. I said, all right, I just need to get through this next 10 minutes and then I'm solid. Bro, when I tell you that was the slowest 10 minutes of my life, it was like time just stopped, because I would say, all right, guys, do it again. And they do it. I'd look up, like, dang, like it's all right, guys. It's still 10 minutes. Do it again. So I have Master Rigby who's watching me like a hawk. And then I have the parents. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? So like, it wasn't good. So then finally he says, Yame. So then we bow out. So then I go up to Master Rigby. I said, hey, Master Rigby, because I just wanted to make conversation. I said, hey, did you get a chance to watch me, teach? He was like, no, I wasn't even watching you. I was like, oh my goodness. And then I also noticed that, a lot of these parents, they're not really even watching you, right? They're watching the kids, or sometimes they're on their phone, or sometimes they're just, you know what I mean? Like, checked out. So that made me realize like, oh, like this really is my world, and I get to, teach these kids how I want, obviously with safety in mind. But like you share it, it's like when you felt like you got that permission, it made everything feel so much better. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude. I think that's awesome that you're getting the opportunity to teach, especially in the capacity that, that you're doing it. Do you, as we kind of close out this conversation, I would like, I kind of want to lead in with this. What are your goals probably in the next few years? Because I know you're 17, you're going to graduate in the next year. And I know you're talking about, going to Embry-Riddle or somewhere in state. But, realistically, Kaden, where do you see yourself with, karate? Like still competing, or just kind of seeing where things are going to, flow?
Right now I am going to still compete. I'll probably still compete till the day that I leave college. So I'll be 2 more years. My goal is to get my 3rd degree black belt. Right now I'm a 2nd degree black belt. So my goal is to get my 3rd. That's actually been my goal since I was a white belt, was not to get my 1st black belt, but to get my 3rd degree black belt. So to make that dream come true would be like amazing to me, because some of the kids, they come here, oh, I want to be a black belt. Mine was 3rd degree, because that's what I wanted, was I want those 3 stripes on my black belt. So that is my first goal. And then I would love to continue training karate as soon as I graduate high school. And then going into college, I would still love to train in karate. I want that to stay a part of my life, just because it's been so much of my life. But I think that it's a great opportunity to keep myself physically fit, mentally, and it's just a cool hobby to have that not a lot of people get to experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And you say 3rd degree. So I want to ask, why 3rd degree specifically?
It actually was because I was watching a Fast and Furious movie, and Jason Momoa, I'm pretty sure his name is. My dad was telling me how he has all these black belts and he's like all these high levels. I was like, why can't I do that? Like, yeah. I want to be like that guy. He's out here jumping out of cars, fighting bad guys. I was like, that seems pretty cool. I want a 3rd degree black belt so I can do that. And so that's just been the dream of mine.
Very cool. And I bet once you get your 3rd degree, what's next? 4th degree, then 5th degree.
Yeah, I'll still keep going. I won't stop. That's not a stopping point for me. I'll get my 3rd degree, and it'll make me want to keep going more, for sure.
Yeah. Let's talk about your black belt test real quick, because I didn't get a chance to ask you that. What was that experience like for you? Because I know every person that tests for their black belt, obviously there's different highs and lows for each person, but what were some of obviously you passed your black belt, but like for you, Kaden, what were some of your ups and downs or, things that you had to go through personally to, achieve such a good milestone?
Some of the things that were my ups and downs was the just sometimes we do the basics, like we do punches and kicks and they just have a stand there. And then like I'd be wondering what was next. And also the questions too. They like do like a questions where we all stand in a line. I'd call our name and then it'd ask a question and I'd be so worried because I was like, do I know the question? Do I know the question? I was like super scared. The run, the push-ups, none of that was my worry. It was the questions. And I knew my history very well. I was just like, are they asking me a surprise question? Are they gonna ask a question and I won't know it because I don't remember it because I'm nervous? It was just all these things flooding through my brain. And then having to do my kata alone up on the stage and watching all the senseis, just lines of third degrees and up, just watching me do my kata. I'm like, I feel like I'll embarrass myself. Those are both two my very big downs. And then my ups would be, I'd say, just being able to complete the run in a short amount of time than most people could. I was very excited about that because I trained very hard for that. And then that's what I encourage my students to do a lot is train harder than you think you should, because when you do better than you already did, it makes you feel proud about yourself. It makes you think that, wow, I wasn't like that 3 months ago. So that's definitely my ups and downs for the black belt test for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now you can also say like you did your black belt test and you overcame some, obviously obstacles, but to go up in front of the panel of your instructors, right? People that you looked up to. And I bet at the same time, knowing that you're a competitor, it probably felt a little good to show off your kata.
It did, yeah. When I got my second degree, I was already competing for a little bit, and I was like, you know what? Let me show them what I can really do. So it does feel cool because then you get that acknowledgement. Because then after the test, we're like, wow, that kata was amazing, and then it's just like that excitement of like, wow, my sensei that's been teaching me for all these years is like, you have a great kata. That's what I've been looking for all this time, and I got it. It meant a lot to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It should mean a lot. Otherwise, it's like, what's the point? It's like. It's like we don't come to karate or martial arts or jiu-jitsu to disappoint our sensei, It's like, no, like it's like, how can I perform? And yeah, man, awesome stuff. Kaden, man, this has been such an amazing conversation. You've done a lot, and like I know I haven't met you yet in person. I'm excited to meet you, also connect. But I can tell like you've accomplished not just physical accomplishments, but your understanding and your mental game, and just you have a really good head on your shoulder, and you said things in this conversation that I think it's important for the viewers to know. Like you really, pull on the support of your team members, your family. When your mom reached out to me and, she talked the world about you, and I already knew who you were. So it was like, yeah, like of course I want to have him on the podcast, So like, it just made sense. So yeah, man. Awesome. I want to leave off with this. If I know you're 17 and, with the understanding of karate that you see now, if there's one thing that you would change about karate to better fit the next future generations, what would that change be?
That change would be make it less intimidating. I feel some people see karate as like the Karate Kid movie, and like you're gonna get into it, and the first thing that's gonna happen is a broken bloody nose, or like you're only gonna get into it as just to fight people. I feel like people have a misunderstanding of karate sometimes, and it lowers how karate really is. And it's a beautiful sport, and the kata, everything they have to offer is truly what karate is. And I feel like that's something I would change about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, make it more exclusive for everybody. Yeah, I agree. Kaden, where can people find you on social media if they want to, get in touch with you, if they have any, questions about your karate journey, or if they want to, possibly train with you for private lessons or just to connect with you?
My Instagram would be Kaden_karate.
Yep. Very cool. And then I always like to give my guests, an opportunity, to do any shout outs to anyone that comes to mind. And maybe your list is long, but if you could, keep this, like your top 5 or 6 people, let's just say, or anyone that comes to mind, who would you like to give thanks to?
I'd like to give thanks to, first of all, my parents, my mom and dad. I wouldn't be here right now for them, to keep me going, just to funding and all this, to helping me support that. And then my senseis for sure. Without them, without their encouragement and their support, and just wanting to continue training me and to see the level of achievements I can achieve.
Yeah.
That's really amazing to me.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. And your parents are amazing. And I thank your parents for trusting me to, to collab with you and have you on the podcast and this platform to share your story. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see where not only your karate future, but, where your future, has to offer. Like I see, great big things from you. And, as they say, it's, sky's the limit,
Exactly.
But Kaden, like, again, thank you so much for hopping on today's, podcast. It was an honor to have you as another guest for the Kumite Lifestyle. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the upcoming Hall of Fame here in a couple of months, and just seeing what else you have to accomplish.
Thank you very much. Me too. I can't wait to see you in person. It'll be a really great conversations to have.
Yeah, likewise. All right, man. Enjoy the rest of your night, and yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.